Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome. Hey, Joey, get the hell out of here. It's not Halloween yet, Michael. Welcome back to the UFC Roundup. That's Joey. I'm Paul Felder. He's Michael Chiesa. We are back. We got UFC 279 coming up this weekend. Khamzat Chimaev is taking on the crazy, the great, the cult classic Nate Diaz. And obviously, we just had a crazy event debut in France, Paris, France. Unbelievable heavyweight main event, Michael. We got a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right in. Let's start talking about UFC 279 coming up. Nate Diaz is taking on the Wolf, Khamzat Chimaev, in a crazy, crazy fight at welterweight. What are your thoughts on this initially? And, where do you think Nate is going into this one? He hasn't been too vocal, but now the embeddeds are coming out, and we're starting to get some sneak peeks into the backstage life of what's going on to this one. How you feeling about this?
I watched the countdown show this morning, and it's nice to hear Nate talk about the fight when he's kind of going all over the place. You're hearing him talking about wanting to fight Francis Ngannou and this guy and that guy, and it's like he hasn't really said too much about Chimaev, so it's nice to hear him talk, and you can see that there's confidence, and it's a Nate Diaz style of fight. Nate only wants to fight the best guys. Like, he doesn't want to fight some up and comer, and Chimaev really already had a name going into that Gilbert Burns fight. But now, once that fight got over, I feel like his star power just rose to the ceiling. And when you talk star power, Nate Diaz he's a superstar. It's going to be a fun fight for Nate. It's just going to be tough, avoiding the wrestling of Chimaev, avoiding the power. But as we've seen in any moment in a fight, if Nate can find a window, he's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't know how fun it's going to be for Nate, though. I think this is going to be going through the depths of hell, to be honest with you, for the first 3 rounds of this fight. Now, I agree that if he's got a chance in this one, it's going to be dragging Chimaev into those later rounds, right? He's got to let his cardio do the talking. Hopefully, that durability that Nate has shown throughout his entire career can almost double itself, right? Because he's going to need it, because Chimaev could truly be a 185 pounder. He's strong, he's young, he's hungry, he's crazy, as we've seen in the build up to this. But I do think that Nate has to see something there. I know he also, like you said, is just looking for the biggest, baddest, craziest fights. I mean, to him, it is war, right? To him, it is life or death. It's me versus you, and that's it. And it doesn't matter how much time there is. If there was an hour-long fight, that would benefit Nate. So this being 25 minutes, I think, is good. If this was a 3-rounder, it's no good at all for Diaz. It's not a long enough time. He's got to hope that Chimaev can wear himself out and Nate can just start poking, because we know that's what he does best. And as soon as you relax that guard a little bit, that's when he can do it, just like he did against Leon Edwards. In the final round, was able to really hurt him, but hopefully he can pull off some of that a little earlier in this fight. But I love it. I love that he just doesn't give it. You know what I mean? He just wants to go out there and be a badass.
And that's something he does very well.
Yeah.
And you are right. You are right. It looks like Chimaev's a little more of a sprinter. And as we know, Diaz, he's a marathon guy. He's a guy that the longer the fight goes, the more it's going to benefit him. And when you talk about Chimaev and his size, that really comes into play when you get into these 5-round fights, because if you're cutting a lot of weight and you're draining yourself and you're depleting yourself, it's hard to hang on for 15 minutes. I mean, you've been there, Paul. You've had some rough cuts. Sometimes it can be tough as the longer the fight goes. So, and I've been there as well. My days at 55.
Well, we know you have, Michael.
Yeah,
we know you have.
Yeah, so it benefits Nate, and he's gonna need every minute of those last 2 rounds. So it's gonna be interesting. Chimaev's gonna have to spark him to put him out. Like, Diaz is as tough as they come. And he even said it in the countdown show, like, if he's really going to put me out, he's going to have to kill me. It's kill or be killed. So, and that's what we love about Nate. That's the way he fights, and he embodies that kill or be killed mentality.
Do you think there's an approach? Like, do you think Diaz and the team sat down and are really crunching the numbers and coming up with a strategy? Or do you think they're just trying to make him the most fit, the best version of himself that he can be, so that wherever the fight has to take place, he's ready to go? Or do you think they see anything in Chimaev's game where they say, okay, here's how we're going to play it out. Here's our game plan. Do you think he's a game planner, or is he just let's get after it?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, him having Nicholas Maximov in his camp, he's got somebody that's a pretty good wrestler, so he can get some wrestling rounds in. We know he loves his marathon training. I don't see Nate being a guy who really hits the weights really hard.
He
But
just did a race, by the way, because a guy, Justin, that I train with in Vegas, who's just turning professional as a triathlete, just did an Xterra race in, I think, Lake Tahoe area,
yeah,
and Nate,
I saw the video of Nate in Tahoe during
yeah,
the
Nate
bike
did it.
ride. Yeah.
So
Yeah, so the one thing from a strategic standpoint for Nate is when you look at the way Hamzat wrestles, he likes to go to the double leg. He likes to throw a feint up high, drop down low, and get to your legs. And as we've known for years, Nate's got a nasty guillotine. He does have a nasty ground game. We've kind of forgotten about it because of his boxing skills, but I mean that's his bread and butter. That is his base. His base is
yeah,
jiu-jitsu. He's got that nice guillotine, man. So if Chimaev shoots with his head off the center line, Diaz will have an opportunity to snatch that neck. So I think that there's not a game plan in place, but I see him training the right way.
yeah. We're gonna get to predictions too, Michael, in a second. But do you think there's something to that boxing? And Nate is a longer guy. Has Hamzat really fought anybody that fights with that kind of boxing style yet that Nate has? I mean, Gerald doesn't really fight like that. Even Gilbert is a powerhouse of a human being, but he's not real long with the way that he fights. I'm curious to see if that southpaw jab and the busy hands of Diaz can really start to pay off for him on the feet in this one.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, Andre Ward, the Diaz brothers spent a lot of time training with Andre Ward, who's, undefeated light heavyweight, one of the best boxers we've ever seen. And he says that Nick's the grittier fighter, but Nate's the better one. Like when they would spar, Nate would be the better boxer of the two. And that's translated into his MMA game. And I think definitely this is the first time Chimaev's fought a boxer like this. I mean, even Li Jingliang, he's a lot longer, but he likes to wing and throw those big
Yeah.
hooks. And he'll be in the co-main event that night. So best believe we'll get to see that too. So I think that this will be interesting for Chimaev. It's like if he gasses out, Nate's just going to start picking at him with that lead hand. And I think I'm pretty sure Nate's a right-handed southpaw too. So when he's peppering you with that right jab, it's got a lot more sting to it than it looks like.
Yeah, plus people faces up. You see it time and time again. Those straight down the middle shots, those are the ones that dig into your skin and leave knots, leave cuts. These big power shots, a lot of times, yes, they can knock you out, but it's that stick, man. The stick, the way that Nate punches, that really does damage and can really cut those eyes open and mess them up. But that being said, we're talking a lot about the chances that Nate has, but we know that Hamzat is just an absolute animal. We got to make our picks. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go first on this one because it's pretty clear cut for me. My heart says I want Nate to go out there and put on one of those insane Conor McGregor type performances where everybody counted him out and then he goes and pulls it off. But my brain is telling me that Hamzat is going to go get the victory. And I'm going to say decision, but there's a damn good chance that the Hamzat can get him out of there. If he's on point and in shape and the cut doesn't really crush him, that's important for everybody. And all those people looking to gamble, make sure you watch the weigh-ins and make sure you see how difficult it was for Hamzat to make weight. I bet the Sharks out there, all those guys are going to be keeping an eye on how that weight cut goes.
Yeah, I mean, he's as big of a welterweight as you could possibly be. I have actually a picture of me and Chimaev facing off just for fun on Fight Island, and I'm a pretty big welterweight myself now, and he's a large guy. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Paul. It feels wrong for me to pick against Nate. I consider Nate to be a friend of mine. I've got to hang out with him a lot. It's hard to pick against the Diaz brothers. I'm such a fan of them. This is where I have to take. I'm a fan first. I've always been a fan first, and I have to take that out of this equation to give an honest answer. I do think Chimaev wins, and I just don't like that I'm saying that, but I'm with you. My heart wants Diaz, but my head it's telling me it's going to be Chimaev, but I do think it's going to be a decision as well. But best believe there's nothing that would turn the MMA world on its head better than a Nate Diaz victory. Just snatching another one, just like he did from Conor. I'm all here for it. And the other thing too, that I don't know if we're not supposed to talk about this, but I think this is Nate's swan song out of the UFC. So it's like, imagine if he beats Chimaev and he's gone. It's like, oh, come back. Yeah. We need you.
Yeah. And you know where he's going, flipping everybody off after that. If he could pull off, like, imagine if he catches him with like a guillotine early in the fight too. I might smash my TV just cause. I
Oh,
might
just
just take it
because.
off the wall and smash it over my freaking knee. You know what? If Nate wins by guillotine in the first round, you heard it here first, Roundup. I'm smashing something in my living room and I'll film it live for the week after when we come back on Roundup. Richie, you heard it. I didn't say what. I didn't say. Yeah,
Yeah,
John
John
Anik
Anik
had to get a
John Anik
tattoo.
had to get the tattoo,
I'm
yeah.
gonna I'm gonna smash something in my house. I don't know what yet. Maybe Joey here. Maybe
I'm
Joey
gonna
will
yeah,
have to
take
get
Joey for a
flying
ride,
knee on
dude.
the face. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
What?
you can do how about you just guillotine his head off? If Nate catches the guillotine, just snatch Joey's neck up.
Yeah,
I'll
take
probably
it off
just
and
break
punch
some
it.
plates, dude. I'll do the same thing. I'll just leave a
All right,
nice
we'll
couple
break a
empty
plate.
plates, smash them together, and
Yeah, I'll break
it'll
my
be good.
favorite coffee mug. I'll break
There we
my
go.
favorite coffee mug. It
Well, that's
says,
good.
"Dragon ass" on it, and it's got a pug scraping its butt across the floor. Anyway,
That's funny.
we could talk that fight all day. We got our predictions in. Interesting and awesome fight in the co-main event. The Leech, Li Jingliang coming in at welterweight. He thought this fight, the UFC was originally asking him to fight Tony at lightweight. He didn't understand what was going on. And Tony's moving up to welterweight, Michael. This is interesting. We see a lot of times in people's careers when things aren't going their way, something has to change, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see that Tony, thank God, is not trying to go the opposite way with this weight cut and go down further like we've seen others do. And we've seen some do it successfully in the case of Jose Aldo, but not everyone does that. But him going up to 170, I think he will be severely undersized, but not in this matchup. I think this is a great way to test the waters with the Leech, who's a good sized welterweight. I mean, he's a 170 pounder, but he's not a huge 170 pounder. What do you think about this?
For me, Paul, I love it. I love it for a lot of reasons. For one, like you said, sometimes guys, when things aren't going their way, they start looking for something different and they go the wrong direction. Whereas Tony's going the right direction. He's going back to the weight class that he won the Ultimate Fighter at. So when when it comes to aging and being able to absorb a punch, he's doing himself a favor to try to give himself more cushion in that
Yeah.
aspect. Like you're going back up to 70. I think it could bring a little bit of that durability back, and he's going to need it though, man. The Leech, he swings hammers. That guy has a thunderous punch, and I just don't think if Tony is going to go about this move to 170, yes, he's going to be more durable, but I almost feel like he needs to channel his wrestling a little more. Let's start making that transition. Not only change your weight class, let's change your style up a little bit. Let's get the snap jitsu going. Let's get to the wrestling. I think that's a whole. Not saying he can exploit it just because Chimaev made it look easy to wrestle the Leech. That's one thing. Chimaev's in a league of his own.
Yeah,
But for
dude, he's
Tony,
a freak of
he,
nature.
he was an accomplished wrestler himself in college. So I think it would be good for him to not only go up a weight class, hopefully go to his wrestling. And Paul, he spent some time at Jackson Wink, which I think is great for him because he's a guy that I feel like Tony's just trained by himself in his garage. It's just like you never see him at any gyms. It's always him
Yeah.
just hitting the speed bag. Like hopefully he's making a lot of changes because he's going to need them if he's going to have a successful run at 170 pounds.
I agree. I'm glad that he's doing all of those things, but I want to be honest as well that I think that unfortunately it might be a little late. I mean, this is a tough time to decide, okay, now I'm going to do all these things. It's like, Tony, you had the opportunity, a couple losses in after your epic run at lightweight. You should have been really trying to fix those things then. Now you're on the skid that you're on. People are questioning whether you should even be fighting anymore. And now it's time to do that. I feel like some of these fighters are so stubborn in their ways that it takes them a long time to make this adjustment. But we'll see. I feel like Tony really only needed a little bit of structure. The dude is so talented, so durable, and so freaking tough and crazy inside the octagon that he just needed somebody to guide him just a little bit in the right direction. I don't think it mattered what training camp he really went to. I know some people are like, oh, is this a good decision, a bad decision? It doesn't matter. He's got other people watching him, telling him what to do, and other training partners to grapple with and spar with at all different levels. Those are all good things. So I'm hoping that does bring the best out of Tony because, I mean, now that I'm not in the division anymore, I'm a huge Tony Ferguson fan, and it really does drive me nuts to see him just lose fight after fight when he was on the win streak that he was on. He never really got to own the proper belt. It sucks. So I'm hoping that this is a good adding. And I agree with you. He's got to use that wrestling, bring out that old Tony Ferguson, ankle pick dudes, get on top, use those nasty elbows that you got, set up those Darce chokes, those anaconda chokes. And I think he can really go in there and pull off a sub.
Yeah, he really can. I mean, that Darce choke over Edson Barboza is one of the best ones you'll ever see. Um, I want him to have success in this fight for some selfish reasons. I was supposed to fight Tony in my first main event when the UFC went to Sioux Falls in 2016, and
Oh,
that's when I had to pull out when I ruptured my L5. And now I'm like, I like seeing him at 170 pounds, for his health, but then as a competitor, I'm like, oh yes, Tony, please win this fight, because that was always a dream
you're
matchup for me.
behind the tree. You're that guy behind the tree going,
Yeah, I'm sneaking over here, rubbing my hands. Yeah, it's a fight I always wanted. Styles make fights. I think me and him would have a hell of a scrap, and it's just that one that got away from me. I've had to pull out of a few fights, but that one was a tough one because it was like I when I was pulling out of the fight. True story. Joe Silva, who I still talk to this day. I love the guy, but that was the first time he kind of chewed my ass, and he was just like, "You asked for Tony Ferguson. You asked for a main event, giving you everything you want. You're really pulling out of this fight." I was like, "Oh, I have to." So you know what? Tony wins. I'd be pretty excited.
Joe always got mad when you pulled out of fights. He got mad at me too. It's like, dude, I tore my knee out. Like, what do you want me to do? Glue it back together and just step in there?
Yeah,
But I think he just got mad when he had matchups that he liked, and it's like, God damn it, these guys
yeah.
are pulling out. But anyway, what's the official prediction?
Here we go. Back to the head and the heart. I think my heart obviously wants Tony. I just wore my heart on my sleeve for you guys. My heart wants Tony, but my head leans towards the Leech. I mean, yeah, he's not the biggest welterweight, but I mean, you look at his legs, he's got tree trunk legs. You know that he harnesses a lot of power. It's another case of head and the heart. So I think
Yeah.
this fight will go the distance, but I'm leaning towards Li Jingliang.
Whew. Yeah, I'm going Leech too. I think either knockout in the second round or a decision.
Yeah,
And again, I'm hoping Tony can right the ship and come out and put on a performance, but until it's been shown, I don't think it's there. I can't pick him just based on one training camp at Jackson's, and if he proves us wrong, right, all the better to him. It's not personal between any of us right here, right? But I just
no,
think
not at
our
all.
brains are saying the Leech has been really active. He's been facing higher caliber competition and winning, even though he's got losses as well. I mean, lost to Hamzat, but the dude's been in there and he's knocked out some big dudes as well. I mean, when he put out Ponzinibbio, that's a big badass welterweight right there, and he was able to
That
knock
was
him
short
out.
notice too. That was a short
It
notice fight.
Yeah, so those kind of things, if he connects, it worries me a bit.
And
Yeah.
with Tony too, I've always wondered, had the speculation, like, did the durability get drained from him from the Gaethje fight because he did the back-to-back weight cuts? Like, I wonder if that played a part in it, because he's not the smallest 170 pounder. So there's no way, and even for me now, I don't know if I could cut to 170 two times in a week or whatever it was. So
Right.
I wonder if that played a role in it, but we'll find out if he's got that chin back.
Yeah. Yeah. But moving on, Ricci, what are we moving on to this past weekend? Yeah, we got to talk UFC Paris, baby. Cyril Gane, uh, showing his durability, showing the precision striker that we have known him to be. And he really did talk about wanting to be more aggressive, be more violent, be meaner inside of the octagon, was something that him and his coaches have really worked on. And let me tell you, seeing it in person, Michael, it was on full display. Those teeps to the body, those front kicks, just the precision and the movement. Now, he got caught, and Ty came to win. He did not come there to be a part of that main event. He came to knock him out and move on towards that title fight. It was an awesome main event. Both guys looked phenomenal. Ty had his moments, but then it was ultimately just the body work that Cyril Gane put in. You saw it hurt Tai Tuivasa over and over again. He was one of the toughest dudes in the whole UFC, was trying his best to work through it, but ultimately was just taken out by just probably the most dynamic striker in all of the heavyweight division, and probably one of the cleanest Muay Thai strikers in all of the UFC at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's for people back home that don't know what it feels like to get hit to the body. I would rather take a really hard punch to the head in a fight than take a kick to the body. It takes the life out of you. When that liver gets touched, it's like the batteries just shut off. Like, you can't fight it. And Ty,
Yeah.
you can see his body is wanting to go down. He's like,
Yeah.
trying to hit the deck, and he's being so tough. But at some point, your body just shuts down. It just can't take
He
that much
felt
damage.
like this guy looks.
He felt like that guy looks. But good on Cyril Gahn. Way to make a gear change. He found a nice opening. He found something to start doing some damage. And the way he bounced back from both punches, he got dropped the first time from the right, and then he got caught with the left hook too after he caught him with that body kick. So Cyril Gahn showing there's more than just technique. There's a ton of toughness there. I mean, that was to pull away from that punch. A lesser man would have fallen and stayed down. But Cyril Gahn just showed he's got tremendous skills and he's got tremendous heart. So I think that was a good showing for Ty. I mean, if he would have beat Cyril Gahn, that would have been one of those fights that would have turned the MMA world on its head a little bit, and I would have been there to see it.
Bro, when Cyril went down, I thought that was it. Because usually when a guy like Ty touches your skull like that and you see somebody fall down, but the urgency to get back out to distance from Cyril was just on point, man. Because usually a guy can follow up, and if Ty would have been able to really cleanly land a few more while he was still on his way up, it probably would have been over. But just incredible performance all around. The right uppercut / shovel punch that he ultimately caught him with on the chin that put him down. There was one shot that looked a little bit to the back of the head, but Ty was so hurt already at that point. I don't think it did too much in terms of whether or not it would have affected the fight. But what's next? I think for Cyril, I don't know. We got to see what's going on with the heavyweight division and the title, but I'd like to see him just jump right back in there and get another fight for the belt.
Yeah, I think so too. I think for Cyril Gahn, I mean, obviously Francis is still out. You probably need another win to get back to him. But if I'm Cyril Gahn, I'm paying attention to there's a rumor that John Jones is fighting Stipe Miocic. If I'm Cyril Gahn, I'm keeping my eyes on that fight. Because for me, I would love to see, like, Cyril Gahn's like the heavyweight version of John Jones. There is a comparison there. Like, you can tell he's got a really high fight IQ. He uses his legs well, kicks the body well. There are some things he does similar to John, and that would be a technical chess match in every sense of the word. So for him, I say he just watches. If John Jones and Stipe fight, I would just pay attention to that and see what happens and go for the winner.
Yeah, and we gotta talk about the Ricci. No,
we need you.
No, Curtis Blades. My God, so sorry, Curtis Blades. I can't believe Ricci just said you in my ear twice, and I'm blanking here. But yeah, kind of out in this limbo, right? And none of it's his fault. That last fight, the guy hit his leg and his knee went out. He never even got to start his fight. So we got to keep him in consideration too on where he goes next, who he fights next. And the title picture for heavyweight, though, I mean, there's a lot of confusion, but there's a whole lot of damn excitement right now, too. I mean, you got John Jones floating around, Stipe trying to get back in the mix. Cyril Gahn just did that. Tai Tuivasa is still an absolute animal. And you got Curtis Blades. So all of these guys mixed together makes for one hell of a tournament to get to that belt. But we got to talk co-main event in Paris, too, which was Robert Whittaker and Marvin Vettori. Man, I got to say this to Whittaker after the fight when we were downstairs in the lobby after the fight. I was like, man, I got to say, it's just so impressive watching you work. You do very simple things amazingly well, and you mix them together to confuse the living hell out of your opponents, and they never know what's coming. He doesn't do anything crazy. It's the bare basics that he does so well with good movement and good timing. And Robert Whittaker is just absolutely one of the best middleweights to ever do it, in my opinion.
Yeah. He says he wants his opponents to hate him after fighting him, and I'm sure Marvin Vettori, being the hot-headed Italian he is, he's probably back home steaming right now. Yeah. But for Robert, it's also the stance. He's kind of got this almost like a Wonder Boy kind of bouncing his step, and he holds his lead hand low, and he times his entry so good. He doesn't chamber his kick. He's the guy that almost was the originator of throwing the same sided strike, throwing the right and throwing the kick over your shoulder. And he does it great. But what impresses me is when he leads with his right high kick, there is no chambering. He snaps it up so nice. And like you said, he just used the basics, and that's all you need. And a guy like Marvin, he excels as a boxer, and for Whitaker to dive in and out with that straight right, find those openings for those straight punches and land that kick. It's like he just needed that first round to feel him out, and then he just like started steamrolling him. And it's crazy too, because Robert being such a 5-round fighter, he for him to turn up the volume and have the output he did across 3 rounds is impressive, because sometimes that messes with guys when you go from fighting 3-rounders or 5-rounders and you get the 2 rounds taken away from you. It can mess with your timing. It can mess with the ways you go about a fight.
Yeah. He does take stock so well and just find those micro adjustments that he's got to make throughout the fight. And we got to talk about what's next, obviously, for Whitaker. And he's in a very, very curious position at middleweight, right? He's lost twice to the champion. It's the only guy he's losing to. We were talking about some stats, Ricci. What was it where both guys in the last however many years have only both
13
lost
years.
to? Yeah,
13
that's
years.
incredible.
That's incredible.
It also shows you that anytime people start knocking on the champion or giving him crap about how exciting or not his fight was, it's like, this dude's the baddest dude. He's beating guys like Robert Whitaker, Marvin Vettori, time and time again, multiple times. The guy is obviously an unbelievable champion. And obviously he's taking on Fajeda. If Fajeda wins, they're going to probably get in a rematch. If Izzy wins, he's already beaten these guys twice. So what's next for Robert? And what I think for him is just keep beating top contenders. And he knows it. He said it before. Doesn't matter who he gets next. He's enjoying fighting again. He feels comfortable in there. He feels like he's reached his prime. He just needs to keep beating these guys that he hasn't beaten yet, making his damn money for his family. And ultimately, it'll work out for him in the end, is what I think.
Yeah, I think he's got to just stay with the pack, keep fighting the top guys, and
fight the guys.
The first person that comes to mind for me is Paulo Costa. He's coming off a huge win at 277. He's looking for a fight. I know he's injured his thumb. Robert probably wants to spend some time with his family, but I mean, that's really, to me, the only viable option at this point in time, because he's inevitably going to get to another title fight. It's going to be a lot tougher if Izzy's the champion, but for now, he can stay busy with Paulo Costa, and that, I mean, who wouldn't want to see that fight? That Costa's a Terminator, and
especially now the way he's looking a little more aggressive.
Yeah, even that video that I saw of Chimaev and Costa getting into it at the PI, I was like, he still looks lean.
He's
like,
training, man.
He's looking like he wants to stay in shape.
He's training. If he's there and he's working out after a fight not that long ago, that's a good sign for Paulo. But now we're going to play a little game, stock up, stock down. Speaking of this fight, on the other side, we got Marvin Vettori. Michael, stock up, stock down.
It's tough. I got to say Marvin. I feel like the longer the fight went, he didn't really get very urgent. He just kind of, it's almost like he slowed down as Robert was
stock up or stock down?
Stock down. Sorry, guys.
Stock down. Stock down. Listen, nothing against Marvin Vettori. I couldn't beat Robert Whitaker. I'm not taking anything away. But he was very confident going into that fight. He talked a lot of stuff. He got in his face. He did the no, and he lost. So I'm not saying we're not going to see Marvin rise to the top again. I still think he's a top middleweight, but definitely after that fight, stock down. Yeah, moving on.
I agree.
Stock up or stock down? Tai Tuivasa. Michael, stock middle? Up. I agree.
Dude. Here's the thing. You can impress the brass if you go out and have a good performance. Like, and for him to make that fight exciting and have that moment against a guy, I mean, really, the odds were against him, and he had a moment where he almost had victory in the clasps of his hands, and it just got away from him. But his stock stays up. It was an exciting fight. He laid it out there. I'd be saying stock down if he kind of fought the way Vettori did. Vettori just looked like he quit trying to win, whereas Tai, as hurt as he was, he's still swinging punches. So me, stock up.
Yeah, stock way up. Stock way up. Came in, hurt him badly in this home country of France. First event ever there in France for the UFC. Insane crowd. Put on a show like that, especially after the unfortunate events that happened in our last London show. We're back over in Europe, and then this happens. This event happens. Stock up, Tai. Heal up, buddy. Can't wait to see you get back in there. We got to get Tai on the show.
I could get Ty on the show. I know I talk to Ty every now and then. I
We got to
got to
do
go
a
hang out
shoey.
with the
We
boy.
got to do a shoey.
Oh, you know I'll chug a beer any day. Let's
I'll
go.
get one of Christine's shoes, or I'll even get a little
There,
maybe a little Ashling shoe, just a little
there you
baby
go.
shoe,
Yeah, that's a little
a little
shot of
baby
beer.
shoe.
Sure.
All right, stock up or stock down, Michael. French fighters,
Oh,
come
up.
on.
Come on, and it's dude, it's great to see because like you look how the success the London fighters are having, the French fighters are having on this last show. It's like I'm all here for it, and it's probably great for the crowd. It's great for us, and that creates stars, and to have France go 4-0, yeah, good on
Yeah,
you guys. That was great.
means we're gonna go back to France probably
And I'm
next year,
coming
and
this
I say
time. I'm coming along.
let's
I'm coming
stock
along.
up.
Stock
Yeah,
up.
undefeated fighters. By the way, congratulations to all the French fighters. You guys killed it. That was amazing.
I agree.
Stock up or stock down? The bread in France.
Oh, I'm just gonna have to
Listen,
take your word for it.
as a man who's preparing for another triathlon event, a middle distance one at that, you need your breads, buddy. And me and Ricci, I can tell you, did a bread tour. The whole gang of us did, for all the producers, all the guys. Everywhere we went, we were walking around with just big old baguettes in our hands, looking like tourists everywhere we went. But the bread was delicious. The croissants were delicious. The coffee was I see. But,
Let's see.
yes, everything else is great, and good beers over there, believe it or not. I know I'm in France. I should have been drinking champagne and Bordeaux, but Ricci did all that for me.
God, you sound so cultured. Look at you, Paul.
I know,
Just
well,
Mr. International. I didn't have the opportunity to go to France with you guys, but I'm gonna go thumbs up because growing
yeah,
up, my dad, he would always bring home French bread. We eat a lot of pasta in the Chiesa household. Uh,
you
you
know,
know,
it's funny too. My daughter, funny story, when I was going over there and I was asking, like, "What do you want?" And ultimately, I got her, like, an Eiffel Tower thing with chocolates in it and different chocolates and desserts and little knickknacks, but when I asked her, "What do you want?" You know what she said?
what?
A baguette.
Oh, did you
She
bring home a
wanted a
baguette?
baguette. I was like, Babe, I don't know if I can bring you back a baguette. I'll have to buy it early on, Sunday morning, and I don't get back till, like, 6 p.m. on Sunday our time, so, I don't know how fresh that
Did they have
baguette.
meat in them? Was there meat or was it just bread?
Dude, well, you can get I mean, everywhere you went, there was, like, baguette sandwiches, so every morning, I was going to the one cafe that we were all going to. I was getting 2 lattes because 'cause they're about this big, so I was just doubling up and getting, like, a baguette sandwich, although Ricci can tell you I screwed up the one time. I got one with, like, olive bread, and I'm not an olive guy, so there was
Nah,
olives,
not good.
but Zach ate half of it, so
Oh,
that
good on
helped out.
Zach. Shout
Yeah,
out, shout out to Z Money. Shout out
yeah,
to Z
shout out
Money,
to
Zach Candido, my
Candido.
boy.
Um, stock up or stock down? Speaking of, Paulo Costa.
Yeah, dude, up. And that was tough. I mean, for one, if a fighter has a fight like that and comes out on top, it's thumbs up for sure. It's
Yeah,
just tough because it had to go against my big brother.
yeah, of course.
Seeing Luke go, at least Luke went out. And I know I'm supposed to sit here and talk about Paulo Costa, but of course I got to give a little shine to Luke. Like to have that moment riding out from his career was great. But Paulo Costa
Yeah.
showing next level toughness, and for how buff he is and how big he is, you would think the altitude would have messed with him more. You think his body
No,
would have
he was
shut
in
down more,
shape.
dude. He truly is the Terminator. That guy will just walk through the fire. Doesn't matter what you hit him with, he just keeps coming. So
He was back
stock
to
up
his
for Costa,
ways.
especially seeing him. Bros.
Yeah, he was back to his ways for sure. I mean, that's the Paulo Costa that we like to see, and we all knew, and that's why he became a star in the UFC, and that was back, and now he's back in the media having words with Hamzat. I'd say stock up big time. He's in the media. We're talking about him a lot. He wants to fight. He's staying in shape. To me, that's a fighter whose stock is up,
Yeah, stock is up.
way
Stock
up.
is definitely way up.
All right, stock up or stock down. Interesting. Anderson Silva. Because you can look at this two ways, right? I mean, yeah, he's got this fight with Jake Paul. Is that good or bad? I mean, early on, I think we would have been like, oh, dude, that means it's the end of your career. Like, not good. But Anderson's been killing it in the boxing scene outside of the UFC now. I know he's an older man, but dude, to get that fight, the money that he's going to make, I'm going to go ahead and say stock up.
Stock up for sure. But Anderson has to do the one thing we have wanted. He is one of
Got to
us.
do it.
He is an MMA guy, and we have watched Jake Paul pluck off some of our best champions we've seen.
Ah,
Ben Askren, to Tyron Woodley. It's like, Anderson, we need you to be the one.
we should send him a
stock
card.
up for sure. And Anderson, he's always wanted to box. I mean, in the prime of his title run, he was like, I want to do boxing matches as well.
Yep.
And he showed he's a good boxer. I mean, I think it was Julio Cesar Chavez's son that he beat.
Yeah.
And that's a legit boxer. So he's got legit skills.
Didn't that guy fight Canelo at one point?
I'm pretty sure he did. And that's a legit fighter. I could be wrong. Richie, am I right? Cue me up.
No, you're right.
Oh, I think I am right too.
Chavez is his son.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to see him. It's good to see him have success outside in the boxing world, because the way he left his UFC career, it made me start to think he's just going to boxing to chase paychecks, especially at his age. But I mean, he's having success. He's winning, and man, if he knocks out Jake Paul,
dude, we haven't seen Jake fight a legit striker yet. Legit. Listen, Tyron Woodley is a freaking beast if he punches you in the face, but he is an MMA fighter. And Ben is not even a good striker for MMA. Like, no, I'm not saying Ben might whip my ass in an MMA fight, take me down, control the shit out of me, but he's a great wrestler. He's not a striker. This is a striker. So go get him, Anderson.
And you know what? If things aren't going his way, I hope Anderson just throws a head kick and smokes him.
Why not? Just forget your paycheck. Just go out there and make us all happy.
Stock up on Anderson Silva.
I think we got one more just because, well, it's roundup. So here you are, everyone. Stock up or stock down, Michael. Our favorite guy to talk about on this show, other than the champion, former champion, unfortunately, Charles Oliveira. So we got him in there, and now we're talking about
we got him. We all know Charles Oliveira's stock is riding high. You know what? I'm going to say stock up for your boy Conor McGregor. He's looking fit in the gym. Talking about a comeback for the last year. Thumbs up, buddy. We love you over here on Roundup.
Yeah, I'm going to say stock up because he's working on it. He's getting ready for a film. Although the stuff that was posted on, you know what? No, I'm going to go stock down. I changed my mind. Did you see the Instagram stories and stuff that were going around of what he was posting about?
Oh, yeah.
I got kids in this world, bro. I got kids, and guess what? Yeah. You got all the money in the world, but you're still a piece of, you know what? So there you go.
Stock down. You make a good point. I saw the video. I'm going to go stock down a little bit. Yeah.
All right. We got one more. Surprise stock up, stock down. Twerking at weigh-ins. Ooh, I gotta go stock down on that one because I saw it backfire badly. We had a young woman, Perez, who made her debut in France, who was talking about fighting Amanda Nunes in our fighter meetings.
Oh.
And went and got rear naked choked in the second round? I think it was second round in her debut. Listen, to all the young fighters out there who are making your debuts, it is amazing to be confident. You should think you're going to be world champion. You should think that you're going to beat everybody, but spare us that you're going to take out the GOAT until you made your debut, and don't twerk until you've won.
Yeah, man. When you get signed to the UFC, Sean Shelby will tell you, I only want people on my roster that are trying to become champions. They aspire to be champions and believe they'll be champions. So the belief is great. I had it from day one. I could go back to old Facebook stories and posts from 2010 when I first started and talk about being a world champion. That's great, but the twerking and it just you really put your foot in your mouth. If that's the best analogy to use, like you just look like a jackass, kind of.
Yeah.
Keep it professional, keep it competitive. Leave the twerking to Jordan Levitt. So for this one, I'm going down.
See, but even then it's down, right? Jordan Levitt didn't work out for him.
At least he can twerk. At least he can twerk, and he's I've trained with the guy a lot, and he has kind of a big butt, so I think he makes the twerking thing work. And if it's at weigh-ins too, at least it's ceremonial weigh-ins, because if I tried to twerk after I'm cutting weight, my butt cheeks are basically sliding down the back of my legs. I would have nothing there. So
yeah, I would have cramped. I used to cramp at weigh-ins if somebody told me a joke and I laughed. My whole ribs would go into a cramp. But we got to talk
bulging out to here, Paul. You're freaking ripped. You're ripped when you're on weight.
One more, Richie. Pull it up. Stock up or stock down? Man, fried chicken sandwich. You
You
know,
know
I think it's stock down. You think it's stock up?
what?
Bro, it's so 2020. Fried chicken sandwich is so 2020.
Dude, there used to be a big thing going on with Popeyes. They're
Is the
making
fried
this.
chicken sandwich even invited to the party anymore?
Well, I tell you this, Paul.
Or is it waiting outside in the line
I've been
with
eating I've been eating
Perez?
fried chicken sandwiches for 34 years, and they're amazing. There's a place here in Spokane called Wooden City, and they have this nice, deep, big chicken breast. It's got nice slaw over the top of it, toasted buns. Yeah, stocks up.
You know what?
The
I
commercialized
only
chicken
say stock
sandwiches stock down, but
I
chicken
only
sandwiches
say
are up.
I only say stock down because we haven't heard it anymore. We haven't heard about it anymore. I agree. There's a place, Johnny Brenda's in Philly, that does a really good fried chicken sandwich.
I
We
love
get it all
how
the time.
every time at the end of the show, I know what I'm eating afterwards. Whatever we talk
Yeah,
about, I'm
yeah,
like,
I
oh,
could go for a
I know
fried
I'm
chicken sandwich.
gonna go
You
have
know what
lunch.
was stocked down? And we all agree here, so I'm not ragging on Christine for buying these, but we had like these cheeseburgers that were stuffed with stuff previously, and it was like a meatloaf sandwich. Stock down on wherever those burgers were from, guys.
But not stocked
That thing
down
would
with
need it.
meatloaf sandwiches. Meatloaf sandwiches are
No, that would have been good if it was straight up meatloaf, but we tried these
oh,
new burgers and she cooked them right. It wasn't the cooking. We all agreed they were stocked down.
dude, when I was a
But
kid,
anyway, go ahead.
we always had meatloaf sandwiches. Whenever we had meatloaf, we had mashed potatoes with them. And when I was a kid, I would toast my bread, put on my meatloaf,
Put the
put my
mashed
ketchup
potatoes on
on.
there.
I'd put a slab of mashed potatoes on there.
I
I'm
ain't mad
hungry.
at it.
I'm
I
hungry.
ain't
Let's
mad
go
at it.
eat.
Yeah, I want some. You know what else I want is some gratin potatoes, like
Mm,
the cheesy stacked thin sliced. Oh, God, man, we get some of
can't
them
beat
from
it.
Wegmans, like pre-made, and you just bake them. God,
That's nice.
I'll make a
That's
sandwich out
nice.
of them.
There you
With a
go. I like
baguette and just some gratin potatoes
it.
on there.
Just au gratin potatoes in the middle of your baguette.
Oh,
Sounds
yeah. Just
delicious.
put some turkey on there or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
guys, that's 279s this weekend. Chimaev taking on Nate Diaz. Leach in the co-main event against our boy Tony Ferguson is coming back.
And shout out to
Fan
my boy
questions.
Daniel Rodriguez fighting Kevin
Oh,
Holland.
D-Rod back in action.
D-Rod's back. Let's go.
Yeah, I love that fight. Anyway, tune in. We'll be back to recap the whole thing next week and send us some questions. And please go eat a sandwich.
Yeah, go eat a sandwich.